I can't think of one thing more disgusting, more weak, spineless, and pathetic than the Reddit-loving, upvote brigade, soy boy army that is the modern atheist community. The limp-wristed, mealy-mouthed, two-faced pieces of human garbage that make up your average atheist are nothing less than a civilization-destroying plague of locusts. And as far as plagues go, I'd prefer frogs, locusts, and supervolcanoes over the slimy, lard-encrusted pigmen fedora fucks roaming the wild lands of Western civilization. At least then we wouldn't die of cuckboy soy overdose. At least we would die before becoming a historical laughingstock to our children. At least we would die with dignity. And personally, I feel the same way about moderate atheists as I do about moderate Muslims and moderate Rick and Morty fans. Sorry, but you backed the wrong horse.
There is no God, Summer. Gotta rip that band-aid off now. You'll thank me later.
Mom, this cartoon is reinforcing my preconceived notions about life and reality. Mom, this is funny. God isn't real and this is funny.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV.
Oh, wow. That's so meaningful. There's such implicit meaning in the idea that life has no meaning. Mom, Rick and Morty is nihilist and so am I, Mom. I'm a nihilist now because of Rick and Morty.
I want sexual assault.
I'm Pickle Rick! I'm Pickle Rick! I'm Pickle Rick!
Well, look how cool and badass this YouTube thumbnail looks. This totally isn't try-hard, edgy, teenage girl MySpace bullshit. I bet you this iconoclast of the atheist movement has some amazing argumentative power, some peak IQ.
This motherfucker is such a fucking snowflake! He can't fucking stand the idea that a television show might have an opinion he doesn't like!
Yep.
Fuck him! Blow his fucking brains out!
Ben Shapiro has some opinions on my liberal beliefs. He's just triggered that I have different opinions than him. Fuck him for having different opinions. The only person who can have opinions is me. You're not my dad, Ben Shapiro. This reaction really does epitomize the apex atheist argument. When Western literature was erased as a requirement for higher learning, you're not my dad, God. When sexually deviant lifestyle choices and single motherhood were popularized in the culture wars, you're not my dad, God. When feminists tried to push anti-male bias and normalize child love, you're not my dad, feminism. Now just think, this argument, this pathetic, screeching little crybaby bitch fest by this high school dropout is something he was so proud of that he uploaded it as its own video to his channel. Now I understand how fun it is to hold people to their own standards, how righteous it is to lambaste child-abusing priests, but at least religious people have standards. The only standards modern atheists have is whatever standard they can use in that moment to shove as many bananas up their fucking ass as possible.
You've got mail.
What's this? Evidence that the amazing atheist and the drunken peasants had a Discord mod abuse his powers, solicit nudes from underage fans, and then posted some of these lewd pictures as revenge porn. Wowzer, you can see her mounds. Now what's this? Evidence that the drunken peasants apologized for and deflected criticism of this mod? Well, what he's doing is pretty wrong, but technically, it isn't pedophilia. Technically, it isn't pedophilia. I wonder what the many other large skeptic YouTubers who all had the same Discord mod did in response to these newfound allegations. Well, according to Mundane Matt, this evidence just wasn't convincing enough. Mundane Matt is a peak skeptic. He's the most skeptical man in the fucking world because, wowzer, you can see her mounds, isn't enough evidence for Mundane fucking Matt. Who would have thought that endlessly degrading your culture and heritage and proposing a moral relativist system of thought would lead to mass migration, moral degeneracy, and, in general, civilizational decay? But at least atheists have science. Ah, yes, science. At least atheists have their precious science and rationalism. They love the facts, just the facts, of course, with no bias at all, which is why they believe that in order to confront climate change, the fact of climate change, we need to have a powerful one-world government implementing socialist planned economy policies. Of course, that's just rational. That's just the scientific facts. It's obvious to everybody that atheists worship science, but they don't actually know or care much about science. They just use science to reinforce what they really care about: their ego. Their pathetic little soy boy ego. Case in point, Jeff Holiday. Wow, look at this badass intro. This guy knows a thing or two about science and skepticism. This guy is a real rational dude. Jeff Holiday is one of the dumbest people on the internet. He is lowbrow to the core, and his character is somehow lower than his IQ. But the worst thing about him is his ego.
This one's going to be highly analytical, highly analytical.
I know all of your opinions just by looking at you. Funny how that works. Jeff Holiday looks like he shops at the same clothes stores that his children do. Or perhaps Jeff Holiday shops at the same children's store that Jeffrey Epstein does. Atheists don't really believe in science or the scientific method. They use science. They carve out science with a rusty spoon and wear its fucking skin. They stand on the grave of science to support what they truly care about: ego and their lib shit bias. What's this? Evidence of the truth of human biodiversity? Help! Somebody help us destroy this heretic science!
Academics, please respond.
Help us, Bill Nye the Science Dude! Help us, someone! Help us, Black Space Doctor! There are more stolen bikes in my backyard than there are stars in the universe. We leave you now with a word from Sargon. Now, most people think, wrongly so, that individuals who congregate around some kind of belief or identity and act in the interest of that shared identity would be called a collective. This is, of course, not so, as only enlightened rationalists like Sargon would know. In the same way that a group of crows is called a murder, and a group of cattle is called a herd, a group of individuals is not called a collective. The proper plural term for individuals is actually a ball pit. That's right, a ball pit of individuals. We fellow rationalists welcome Sargon and his new individualistism, which is, of course, not some kind of collective. This has been Arguments of Semantics with Sargon. My actual real criticism of the skeptic community is that a lot of people, like let's example, I don't want to criticize it as a whole because, you know, there are different criticisms for different people, but I think Armored Skeptic is a really good example of all of the criticism of the skeptic community. He uses skeptic, the word skepticism, to just bolster his ego whenever he feels the need to sound more intelligent. He refuses to accept any criticism as valid, and he only makes mealy-mouthed apologies where he refuses to admit he actually has anything wrong with his character, so he has zero self-awareness. And he uses the most simplistic, low-hanging fruit to boost his ego and make him seem so intelligent. Like, I mean, I can understand making a video about Flat Earth because, fuck, that's a good video.
You read my fucking...
But, I mean, the thing is that if you think that that makes you, like, some kind of internet hero, like you're the next coming of the Four Horsemen, shut the fuck up. Like, that's all I had to say. You're just as bad as atheists who walk around with "I'm an atheist, debate me" shirts. Because the fact that that's the only thing that you know about, and you think that that makes you some kind of fucking YouTube Jesus, that this fucking living animatronic sphinx came to you and chose you for the special mission of questioning all of the things.
I am glad you are finally awake.
Dude, what are you talking about?
You were dead. Or, should I say, your body was. But we were not done with you yet.
Then you have a fucking ego problem, and you need to take a long, hard look at yourself in the fucking mirror, and your existence on YouTube is tainting the word skepticism just as much as the edgy atheist debate me t-shirt tainted the fucking name of atheist, okay? That's what's happening right now. And that's why, I mean, I'm criticizing it when it's early, guys. This is going to become I bet you in 6 months, in a year's time, skepticism is going to be the new SJW. It really is, because of shit like what's happening.